Do you
This
have
meeting
any
is being recorded.
do you have any homework or other things that you want to work on maybe? Or should we just do SAT as usual?
Um,
What would be helpful?
I thought we were doing Latin.
Sorry?
I thought we were doing Latin today.
Latin. Hello? What?
Hello?
Yeah, you said we're doing Latin.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing.
Oh. Um, okay. What do you have to work on in Latin?
It's just basically um reviewing and getting like memorization down.
Okay. I mean, do you want to show me then what you have to review or memorize? I took
There,
some time back, so let's see how much I can help with now.
um, it's I just need to like I just need a little bit more help with vocab words.
Okay. Do you have a list that you want to go through though, or like yeah?
Um, Not really.
Huh. Zach, did you have a particular plan that you wanted to go through with the Latin, or I'm just trying to get a picture of how I can be most helpful.
Loki, Zach's on a call right now. But
Okay.
yeah, I think to be honest, I think we actually made a little bit of a scheduling error because I think today was actually supposed to be Latin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call up our Latin tutor and see if he can hop on. But in the meantime, do you want to still do maybe like 20, 30 minutes for a SAT while I call up our Latin tutor and get her on as well?
Sure.
Sweet, sweet. And do you have any like Latin assignments that are due tomorrow?
No.
Okay, all right, perfect. Sweet, sweet. If you don't mind me asking, when is like your next Latin unit test?
I don't know. He hasn't talked about it yet.
Perfect. When are your next tests in general?
Not for a while. We just
Sweet.
finished midterm, so.
Perfect. Yeah, whenever your next like bio, math, anything is coming up, just let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna call up our Latin specialist, and in the meantime, you guys can get some sort of like ACT or SAT.
Okay. Robin, I guess would just go through some SAT for now, and your usual Latin teacher will come and help you with that. Is
Okay.
that good? Okay? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't do Latin usually, so um, yeah, I wasn't expected to work through that today. Um, yeah. Anyway, should we just go through one prep again and do some modules?
Sure.
Okay, pulling it up right now. So give me 1 second. Suvik, can you turn on screen sharing for me when you can?
Yeah, it should be on.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right. Robin, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Should we do math or English?
It doesn't matter to me.
All right, let's do some English then. Let's see. Re have you gone through any of these modules? I don't want you to do something that you've done already.
Um, I've done one prep before, but I don't know what modules
What
it
you've done. Okay. If any of the questions look too similar, just let me know and then we'll do a separate module.
okay.
All right. Um, okay. Should we let's just read through this the question and then I'll read through and then you'll tell me what the answer should be. Yeah?
Okay.
All right. So for this first paragraph, in the 1830s, blacksmith John Deere developed the first commercially successful steel plow in the United States. Because the polished steel blade cut through the sticky prairie soil without clogging, the tool was highly effective and thus quickly achieved blank use. By 1855, Deere's factory was producing more than 10,000 plows a year to meet the high demand. Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? What do you
A.
think? A?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Do you want to read through the second one and tell me what you think?
Sure. C.
See?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. During a 2019 excavation in Arizona, archaeologist Elena Rodriguez and her team unearthed pottery shards from the ancestral Puebloans containing residue of cacao, a plant native to Mesoamerica. This discovery may convince scholars who have insisted that the original was culturally isolated to blank that long-distance trade networks likely existed. What do you think?
Um, B.
B?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. All right, your turn.
C.
Yep. All right. Following text is from the 1925 poem Seasons by Clara Vance, an American poet known for her depictions of rural life. There shall be blooms uncurling, a fresh scent in the air, the river's water swirling to wash the stones quite bare. But while the leaf is twirling, without a single care, the heavy axe is hurling, the burden we must bear. When the smoke is slowly curling and frost is everywhere, and then which choice best states the main purpose of the text?
A.
A. Yep. Your turn.
B.
Yep. All right. Um, all right. I'm gonna let you read through this as well, and then you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Sorry.
A.
Yep. How about this one?
Okay. D.
Yep. That makes sense. Um, all right. Let's do this one and the next one, and then we can do some math and see if um switch it up a bit before you have to do your Latin.
Okay.
All right.
D.
Yep.
A.
Yep. Amazing. Okay. Um, let's see what math we can do here. Um, let's try the harder module and see how this goes. Okay. Um, again, if you've seen the questions before and they're not new, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. How would you approach this question?
Um, put together the 12x2 and the 8x2.
Okay, and that gives you
Um, 1T x,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
but
then plus 7, so D.
brilliant. Okay. Um, and how about this one?
Um, divide 4,600, uh no, 400,608, I think. Yeah. Um, and they divide it over the
600
hundred, and then um divide those both by 12,000.
by 12,000? Where's the
Yeah.
12,000 coming from?
What? Sorry, you glitched out.
I said I was asking where does the 12,000 come from?
Um, it's the greatest common divisor.
Okay, and then but they're asking you to find the percentage of people who cast the ballot out of the people who are registered, right?
Yeah, and take that number after dividing it by 12,000, multiply it by 100.
Okay. And what does that process give you?
78%.
All right. Chris has been removed because Philip's here, our Latin tutor. So let's dive into Latin. Philip, can you please turn your camera on? And so basically, Robin has a unit that she's starting tomorrow. So what we want to do now is just get her prepared and ready for this Latin unit that's coming up. So take it away, Philip.
Hello, test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to Latin with Phil. Good to see you. What questions do you have for me today about Latin?
Um, I just need help with like the new vocab for chapter 11.
Okay. So I don't have your textbook. Can you pull that up and we can go through it together?
Yeah.
You may need to
Um,
give for screen sharing terms.
yeah, I just need to pull it up. Um, I have to go all the way to.
You've made so much progress. So many pages we go through here.
Okay, this is it.
A slave runs away. Yes, and then there's some Latin text there. Um, okay, so what questions do you have for me?
Um, Really, it's just help with the translation stuff.
Okay. You mean translating this passage?
Yeah,
Um,
because whenever
okay.
we do it, he asks um for like a bunch of stuff, and
What does he ask for?
um I have it written down. He like asks for like the accusatives, the plurals, um and like the nouns, and he'll do it like sentence by sentence. And sometimes he'll go too quickly and I can't keep up. So
Okay. So he asks you to parse words, right? So we call that parsing. Does he ever mention that term, parsing?
no.
Okay, so that's what that is. So whenever a teacher in a language like Greek or Latin asks you for information about the word, we call that parsing. And so parsing is what you just said there. It's they want you to to tell what information you can get out of the word based on the way the word is spelled, right? So this is something you're doing for homework, is that right? Or is it on the spot?
It's like on the spot and he calls on random people.
Oh gosh, okay. Well, that's kind of intense. Well, are you allowed to have stuff with you, or is like are you allowed to have like a cheat sheet with you or something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of just regular class. So,
Hmm. Okay. Well, there are ways you can prepare for that. Um, one way is to go through the whole chapter you think he's going to call on you about in advance. Go through and parse all the words yourself. And so what do we mean by parse? Actually, I need to share my screen. So let me share mine. Let's go back to my handout because this is a good kind of practical thing to go over. So can you see my screen?
um, yeah.
Okay, so back to this again. Yeah, you said he asks you for like the accusative, so that's a case, right? So basically, he's asking you for what case is the word. So over here on the left column, these are the cases. So N is nominative, G is genitive, D is dative, AC is accusative, AB is ablative. I just abbreviated them like that so I could fit it all on the page, but that's all it is. It's just you don't have to say NGD, AC, AB. This is it just means that. It just means nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. And so whenever he asks you for the accusative, he's asking you for the case. In other words, the bigger picture here is he's asking you to parse the word. Parse, P-A-R-S-E, meaning tell me the grammatical information about the word based on the ending or the way the word is changing its spelling. Um, and so the best way to get good at knowing how to do that is to know these endings really well. Now, you're not going to know these endings really well right off the bat. You know, it takes time to get familiar with, the endings. It takes time to get familiar with the language. So ideally, for now, you'd have this printed off as like a cheat sheet. So whenever he calls on you in class, you'll have this. Um, that being said, of course, he's probably not going to want you to fumble through this paper for a few minutes waiting on you to come up with an answer. So it is also good to prepare beforehand. So like I said, it's good if you can go through the chapter that you're in that you know or that you have a strong intuition on him potentially asking you questions on, go through that beforehand and parse everything you can beforehand. And it's kind of giving yourself extra work, but at the same time, it's also helpful because you'll be familiar with it. I've noticed this a lot in learning different languages that there's like a barrier until you actually become familiar with the text. Some people ask me, Phil, do you know Latin? And I'll say, well, I kind of know Latin, but really I know how to read particular texts. It's more about like what books can you read or what text can you read in Latin? Because even if you learn the language, you don't really know it until you read a certain thing in the language, and then you could say you're familiar with that. So, for example, like I can say I know the Vulgate because I've read parts of the Vulgate in Latin. I'm familiar with it. But if you throw me like a random obscure Latin classical author, I'm probably going to struggle as well, because even the Latin teacher, if they're not familiar with the text, there's a different part of your brain that works when you're reading a text versus learning the grammar. So it's always good if you go through those texts beforehand, just so you're familiar with it. So that's just some general practical advice there. Another thing is for these endings, there are some common trends you see within these conjugations that can help you in parsing them. And I kind of went over that last time. but it's always good to have a refresher. And there are some more points I can share on that. As I understand it, you're up to the third declension. So we could talk about the endings here and how they relate to one another within each declension. For the first declension, you're going to see a lot of these end in alpha or I say alpha, I'm thinking in Greek. You're going to see a lot of these end in A or E. So you see that, and you see that throughout these declensions. Um, for the second declension, it's more of like an I class kind of declension. So you'll see I in some of these forms or O, I or O. And then in third declension, I said it's your wild card last time because of the nominative ending. But this one has your classic ibus. It's also kind of an E or I based declension. But really, I mean, really though, the only way really ultimately to know what you're looking at is to just know these endings and become familiar with them. And so it takes memorization, it takes copying them out, this kind of thing. The second thing is know your vocabulary really well. So I think we talked about this last time, but that site Latinium, whenever you're going through your when you're going through your reading exercise, look at each word, and if you don't know what it goes back to, if you don't know the lexical form, either go back to the vocabulary in your book, which should tell you, or use Latinium, and Latinium will give you everything you need. You know, it's going to tell you the word's lexical form, the genitive singular ending, and really the genitive singular ending is the key because as soon as you know that it's Puella, Puellai. So this would be the lexical form that it gives you. It'll tell you this, and then the meaning. As soon as you know the genitive is I, you know, okay, it's first declension, which means Puella declines like this. Um, and so you know exactly what you're looking at. Um, and so that's why I say the knowing the vocabulary really well helps. Now, there's actually another way you can do it, which is kind of like the lazy way, but it's it's also the smart way. I mean, they say lazy people are smart. Um, so the lazy way, which is perfectly fine if you get it right, I mean, is you just look at the text, you know your vocab really, really well, even if you don't know any of the grammar, and through your intuition, you're able to figure out what the sentence is saying. And so it's kind of like working backwards. So in your text that you showed me just now, omnis is the first word. Omnis means all or every. If you just read omnis and then go on and you just kind of decipher the text based on the meanings of the words themselves, you can kind of unscramble the words and figure out what the sentence is saying. And so okay, omnis is the subject. It's going to be nominative because nominative is the subject. Doesn't matter what the ending is because from your intuition, you've just figured out just from knowing your vocab well, okay, omnis is subject. It's got to be nominative. So you see how these things go together, and you see how you can start to get the sense of there's different ways you can give the teacher the answer that you want to give him. There's different ways you can approach it. Either know your ending really, really well and say, okay, I saw S, and S is the nominative ending. Um, there's different possibilities. It could be S here, it could be here, it could be here. Um, or you could say, okay, no, I read the sentence just from my knowledge of the vocab, and I know, okay, that has to be the subject, so it has to be nominative. And that's another thing too, is you have to know what these things mean. Like you need to know that nominative is subject, genitive is relationship, dative is like this to idea. Well, you haven't covered dative yet. Ablative is like your by, with, or to idea. Your accusative is your predicate. And so, um, yeah, but so aside from all the tricks, though, ultimately, it's good to be familiar with the text ahead of time. So, are there any particular words that you need help parsing?
No, not really.
Okay, that's good. If you do have a particular word that you're looking at it and you're like, okay, this word is weird. Why does this word look this way? Or let's say you have a word and it looks like not just the ending has changed, but the stem has changed, the spelling within the word itself. In that case, you can go back to Latinium and try Latinium. Um, Usually the stem won't change. Just when I say stem, I mean the actual word itself. Normally just the ending will change. But there are some words where the stem does change. But your book should tell you that. I would imagine your book would note those that would note those for you. So, are you still in the third declension, or have you made more progress on that?
No, still third.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, that's good. So they're giving you lots of time to try to get these declensions down. Um, I could do an example with you if you like. If you pull up your book again, so I'll stop sharing here. If you pull up that page again, we can do an example together about how to parse some of these words. Okay, so you haven't covered verbs yet, right?
No.
Okay, that's good because verbs are that complicates things more. Uh, so yeah, so I'm looking at the first word there, omnis. Do you know, have you covered this word in a previous chapter?
No.
Okay, so well, I already told you the answer. Maybe I shouldn't use that as an example. Let's look at raida. So the end of that sentence. Omnis cornelii iam sunt in raida. Um, so what parsing do you think raida is? It's got to be a noun, right? Because we already see that well, you haven't covered verbs, so I guess you wouldn't know. But it the verbs in this sentence is iam and sunt. So those are the verbs. So we have omnis cornelii, and I already told you omnis means all or like every or this kind of idea. And then or everywhere or this kind of thing. And then cornelii, this is a name. Like Cornelius would be the English equivalent of that. Iam sunt, those are verbs. In is in. That's super easy. And then Rida. So what if I said parse Rida, right? That would be the proper way to say it. Parse Rida, which means I'm telling you, I want you to tell me um, based on the grammar, all the information you can get from Rida. And there's a certain order you should do this, right? You should tell me the case, the number, and the gender. Every noun and every adjective in Latin has a case, number, and gender. And so what is the case number and gender of, well, let me make it more simple. Let's start more simple. So what is the case of Rida? Or what is your guess there about what the case of Rida could be?
Um, Second person singular.
Second person singular. So um, only verbs have person, right? So you're giving me information for a verb. So maybe you have covered verbs, and maybe you're just you're lapsing there on your memory of that. Maybe they did introduce verbs a little bit, um, and you're confusing those two. Uh, so for a noun or an adjective, the information that they contain is case, number, and gender. So it's going to be, for example, it'll be like nominative, singular, masculine, or like nominative, plural, masculine, genitive, singular, feminine. It'll be like this for every noun and for every adjective. And this is a great note for you. You know what? Let me go ahead and share my screen again. I'll give you a note here that I can share with you later, or you can screenshot or however you like to do it. Uno momento, unos momentos. Okay. So this is actually great that we met for this because I can give you a parsing guide here. So um, this is very important, this parsing that we do. So there, make it look nice. Okay, I guess that's a good font. Um, Parsing. How do you parse in Latin? How do you parse in Latin? What is parsing? Parsing is um, telling what the ending says about the grammar. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, there's really only two kinds of parsing, so it's actually super simple. In Latin, you have parsing for verbs, and then for anything that's not a verb. Um, well, I shouldn't put it that way because you also have like particles, like negative particles and prepositions. Okay, let's put it like this. Let's say you have parsing for verbs and then for nouns and adjectives, right? So for a noun and adjective, the way you parse is you give me case, number, and gender. Now, different teachers are particular about this in different ways. Like some of them will say, no, no, I want you to give me the number in the case and the gender. Okay, the order doesn't matter, right? I mean, do the order that they want just so you don't be irksome to them. But um, the point is, you're going to give these three things. It's going to, whatever order they want you to give, it's going to be these three, case, number, or gender. And then also some teachers will want you to give lexical form. Even if they don't want you to give that, you should give that because that's just helpful to you for recalling what the lexical form is, what the dictionary form is. And as I said, and as I've been saying, and I'll keep saying it, if you know the vocab really, really well, I mean, everything else is going to be a lot easier. So yeah, so you want to give the case, number, gender, lexical form, and translation. Now for me, I actually am loose on this, and if a student wants to give me the translation of just the lexical form, that's okay because that shows me you know what the word means. And I assume you know what all this other stuff is, and that you can just figure out how to tweak that translation to meet the needs of this. But other teachers will say, no, I want you to translate based on the form that you actually are given. So you'll just have to figure out if your teacher wants that or not. If even if they don't, again, I recommend that for yourself, you always make this your practice. Case, number, gender, lexical form, translation. Okay. So what is all this stuff? So your case, this is like your nominative, genitive, and so forth, right? That's what this is. Your number is going to be there's only two options, singular or plural. Your gender, in Latin, it's going to be your masculine, your feminine, or your neuter. Um, and then for lexical form, this is going to be the dictionary form. The like this, the dictionary form, and no other. And then for translation, yeah, you're translating either the lexical form or or the form that you're actually given in the text. So so let's look back at Raida again. So the text says Raida, long A. Okay. So how do you parse Raida? Well, it would help if you know what it goes back to. So do you so when I say what it goes back to, I mean what is its lexical form? This is how I do it. So again, if you know the vocab really, really well, and you know that there's a word that's very similar to Raida, then you know what where the change is, right? And if you know where the change is, then all you need then is context, your intuition, and your knowledge of the endings, and then you have it. Um, on the other hand, let's say you don't know the lexical form of Raida. Let's say you don't know what it is. Well, then there's more uncertainty, and all you're left with is you just have to try to look at the ending and say, okay, is it this ending? And then try to reconstruct from nothing what the lexical form is. So you see, there's this backward approach and there's this kind of forward approach. For me, the best thing that I've found is know your vocab and then you know what this goes back to, and then you know where the change is. And so you know what to look for that. And then the rest is just again, it's just knowing your those endings on the handout. Um, okay, so what is the lexical form of Raida? That's where I'm going to ask you to start in deciphering this.
Um, mm, I'm still not sure.
Okay, no worries. So two things you could do for now. If you don't know what the lexical form is, you can try to go back in your book.
Sorry.
Oh yes, yep, go ahead.
No, my mom was calling. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Oh, so yeah, no worries. So two ways you can do it for now is outside of class is you can try to go back through your book and say, okay, where's Rita? Go back through all the vocab list. Is it here? Is it in this chapter? That can be tedious and it can be time consuming. So instead, it may be better if you just have Latinium bookmarked and then you can try to type it in Latinium. Um, so I'm going to share Latinium again. Um, do not underestimate Latinium. It is a very good tool. So for this type of thing, so you have Raida, and now you can't. In this case, you can just type in Raida and it's here. But let's say the ending was like a genitive ending or something. Like let's say it was something else. If you type that in, it's not going to show you a result because a Latinium assumes that you're typing in the lexical form. This is actually very important. I didn't explain this last time. I should have explained this, but we're at the point where we need to know this, so it's good. So, if you type in the word and it's not the nominative singular masculine, it's not going to show you a result. Why? Because the lexical form is the nominative singular masculine. This is a good note for you to take if you didn't take this note last time or if I didn't mention it. The lexical form is the nominative singular masculine. You have to know that form to use a resource like this, and you have to know that form to help, and also the genitive singular to help you decline the whole word. Um, so if it's not nominative singular masculine and you type in the whole word, you're not going to get a result. So you're like, okay, at this point you're thinking, okay, Phil, then how can I use this website? Well, you can still use it. Because we know that in Latin it's the ending that changes and normally nothing else. Therefore, we know just from our basic familiarity with Latin that an ending like a here, this a is probably an ending. So you can drop it off. So anything, any vowel or anything that looks like an ending at the end of the word that comes before what you can reasonably guess would be the stem of the word is probably the ending. You can drop it off, and then you can see what results pop up if I just type in that stem without the ending. And we do have a couple of results here. It looks like we have Raida and Raidarius. Now, lucky for us, Raida is actually the form in your text, so it's not as complicated as it needs to be for this particular case. Um, now, loose and short is the lexicon I tell you to use because it's the best one. There's a bunch of different lexicons you can get. There's readers editions of different texts you can get. There's lexicons, there's dictionaries, which lexicon and dictionary are the same thing, except the lexicon gives you more information about like references, like all this stuff you see down here, like quint and non and at and fil. These are all abbreviations for ancient Latin guys and their books. A dictionary would normally just tell you the word and its meaning. Lexicon tells you all this stuff. Now, even though lexicon tells you all this stuff and you don't need it, you should still use loose and short because it just gives you the full thing of anything you could need. Um, on the other hand, because it gives you the full thing of anything you can need, a lot of that stuff you'll just have to ignore. Like, so it tells you it's either raida or reida. You can ignore this for now. Just use the one in your book. It says falsely written as Reda. Yeah, this is getting even more technical about like if you look at manuscripts or like ancient hand copies, some will spell it in these different ways. It's good just for FYI, I guess, if you're getting into it that deep. But for our purposes, we see Raida, that's our word. And then after anything else, after the first comma, it'll give you the genitive singular ending. And that's very important because that tells us what declension it is. So, what declension is this word, Robin, since I is the genitive singular ending?
Um, B A E.
AE, yes, good. So AE is the genitive singular ending. But what declension does this AE tell us the word is now? So first, second, or third?
Third.
Third? Are you sure?
Second.
Are you sure? There's only one option now. Uh,
First.
yeah, first, good. So let me go back to that handout. Traveling carriage or wagon with four wheels. Okay, take note of that. Let's go back to our handout. Um, yeah, this one. This handout is your friend. Okay. Print this handout out, put it on your phone, put it on your tablet. Um, everywhere you go, make this handout your friend that you're always with and looking at until you got it down. So first declension, and really in this handout, there's a bunch that's overwhelming here, right? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we haven't done yet. If it helps, and just go ahead and mark out some of the stuff. Like, see, am I able to do this? I'm not able to do this. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I highlighted it. Annotates. Yeah, okay. So if it helps for now, just go ahead and do this. We don't need all this right now. Just get rid of that. Get rid of that. All this stuff, you don't need any of that. All that you need, even this, we don't need that either. All that you need right now is this. Okay. Focus. That's what we need. Focus. And so when we look at this, what we see is this top thing here, the label, the title for each of these boxes is the most important thing, because it tells us that the A for the genitive singular is first declension, and the I or the I for the genitive singular for words like this are second declension, and the is third declension. You got to know that. That's really important. Why do you have to know that? Because if I know that a word like raida has its genitive singular ending in I, that means that every single form of raida is going to follow the first declension and no other. And Latin is like this. Latin is actually very consistent in that most words have only one declension for the word. They only have one spelling pattern for the word. So, like, you're not going to see Rida with a second declension form. You're not going to see Rida with a third declension form. It doesn't happen. Now, in reality, there's always going to be an exception to any rule, and you just have to accept that. And languages are alive, languages are living. So there's probably going to be some random word out there that, for whatever reason, will take two declensions instead of just one, but it's really rare. It's really rare. It's an exception. So you can bank on it that 99.98% of the time, a word will only have one declension. And so if you know the genitive singular ending, you know what declension it is. So to put that in another way, if you know that when you look at raida in the text, and okay, its lexical form is raida, I, feminine, a carriage with four wheels. If you've memorized that, then okay, I, that's first declension. And then you know how every single form will be. So if I go back to my other page, oh, how do I unannotate? Okay. If I go back to my other page, gosh, hang on, I need to delete all that. Okay. Um, the Zoom sharing thing. So funny. Okay, this one. So if I go back to this, um, you tell me, what is the nominative singular masculine of this word? If I want to make this into a nominative singular masculine, so we've already said that the lexical form is raida, raidai, feminine, and it's a carriage with four wheels. I guess carriages normally have four wheels anyways, but okay, it's a carriage with four wheels. That's what I recall Latinium saying. It's a traveling carriage or a wagon with four wheels, as if they can have more than four wheels. I don't know why it specifies that, but okay. So you tell me, Robin, how do I change this word's form to make it nominative singular masculine?
You could do
So it's going to be ride plus something, right? So what is that something?
I I want to say E, but I'm not.
E,
Yeah,
this one?
yeah.
Okay, you're close. It's a vowel. It's not E though. Um, so so okay, so let's go back. So let's take it back a step. Rida. So we know that Rida, because it has I in its genitive singular ending, that it is what declension? First, second, or third?
Um, First.
First. Brilliant. And so we know that every single form of Rida is going to follow a first declension ending. And we know that normally that the ending is going to be something like a vowel or only two letters, but normally the first of those two letters will be a vowel, like us, os, is, like something like that. So that means that the stem is probably ride. And so if we want to decline ride, decline meaning give you all the different possible grammatical forms in that declension, you start with the stem after you've dropped the ending and then you add the ending. So if I want the so if your instructor says, Robin, I want you to tell me what is the nominative, singular, masculine, and he might not tell you for all this stuff, but I'm helping you out here because this is as much as he could ask you, right? Like he might just ask you what's the nominative or what's a nominative form of it or something. But with this is everything. Like he could possibly ask you for this. I don't know what else he could ask. If there's something else, let me know. I'd be interested to hear about that. But uh, so nominative singular masculine. If he says, Robin, what is the nominative singular masculine of this word rida? You know already that it's going to be ride plus an ending in the first declension. Now at this point, you're perfectly free to consult the handout. So if you don't have that pulled up, feel free to pull that up on your end. Um, or maybe I can pull it up here. But yeah, you're welcome to look at the handout. So what is the form of Rida in the nominative singular masculine then?
A.
Hey, good, yeah, yeah. So that means that this is going to be Rida. Now, I had you go through that process just so you know like how the process works. In this case, actually, it was a little easy because I already gave you the nominative singular masculine. You could have just looked up there and you could have said, Phil, you already gave it to me because the dictionary form is the nominative singular masculine. So there's, in this case, you could have just looked up here and saw it as well. Um, okay, let's do another example though. Let's say your instructor said, Robin, I want you to tell me the genitive singular masculine of Rida. Well, now you don't have it up here anymore. Okay, so there's no cheat anymore. So how do you make the genitive singular masculine of Rida?
Um, can I, is it A E?
That's right. Yeah, well done. Well done. Um, excellent. It is AE, yes. I don't know. Do you know how they pronounce what pronunciation they're using in your class yet? Is it classical?
No.
It's not classical? Okay. Well, so if it's not classical, it could be a number of things. I know that there's some that use like particular pronunciations, like some will use like Italian kind of styled pronunciations, some will use more like Americanized. So yeah, I guess you might want to ask them because it's good for you to be consistent, you know. Like you can learn all the Latin without the right pronunciation, but just for the sake of like in your mind hearing the same thing each time, it is helpful to have that. So I'm probably going to be pronouncing it in ways that might not be what your instructor wants. So just FYI, I'm not sure on that. I'm using the classical. I might switch to the ecclesiastical just on a whim if sometimes, but I'm trying to use the classical. So Raidai, yeah, Raidai. And so actually there's a little cheat here for you too because I have the lexical entry here for you. So you could have just said, okay, well, he has the lexical entry up here. I know that the second thing in the lexical entry is the genitive singular. And so you could have said, okay, well, it's I, because you see it up here. So you could either see it up here, or you could recall in your declension handout, or just look at your declension handout. Okay, it's I. That's the ending. Um, so yeah, so you see that if you know your lexical form, if you know your vocab really well, then you have a lot of what you need already. But you can also just know the endings in the handout, and so we end up with die. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Rai die. Let's do one more, just for good measure. So let's say your instructor says, Robin, I want you to tell me, um, actually, let's do it in the reverse this time. Let's let's do it. Let's say, Robin, you have this Latin word, raidam. Robin, parse raidam for me. What is its case, number, and gender?
Uh, I know it's masculine. Uh,
Yes. Good. So that's one thing. So there's three things. Something, something, masculine. Yeah.
accusative, and then uh singular.
Yes. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. Well done. Accusative, singular, masculine. Um, Maybe we should talk about translating these two, because we didn't actually do that. We kind of skipped that, even though I said you should do that. So really, actually, what you do is, well, these were in reverse, so these don't count. But for this one, yeah, it would be accusative, singular, masculine. And then what's the lexical form of Raidam?
A E, or would that not be the same?
So AE is it's a part of the lexical form, but whenever I ask you, well, let me back up. AE is a part of the lexical form. It's the genitive singular ending, that you would put after the main word in the lexical form. But whenever I ask you what is the lexical form, I'm actually asking for something more specific. When I say what is the lexical form, whenever you're parsing a word like this in this situation, what I'm actually asking you for is just simply what is the nominative singular masculine form of the word. So yeah, so depending on the context, if your instructor asks you for the lexical form, it could be two different things actually. It could be just simply the word itself, the nominative singular masculine, or it could be the whole thing. It could be like all of this. Like maybe he wants you to give the nominative singular masculine, the genitive singular, and maybe even the gender as well and the meaning. Maybe that's what. So there's two different possibilities there. Maybe I should put that here. So for the lexical form, it's going to be either the full dictionary form, or it's going to be just the nominative singular masculine of the main word. Normally, when we're parsing, it's actually just the second one. It's just going to be the main word. So with that, what is the lexical form of Raidam?
A.
So you want to give me the full word. So what
Oh,
is the full word there?
I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Um,
That's okay. It sounds like you know what it is though. You're picturing it at least.
yeah,
It's this, right?
yeah.
Yeah, good, good. Well done. Yeah, so Raida.
Okay.
And it's not actually capitalized. It's not a name. It's a chariot. So yeah, good, good. This is good practice for you, I think, because he's probably not going to ask you for all of this stuff at once. I don't know, he might at some point, who knows, he might. But um, by doing this kind of practice, you're going to be able to give him everything. Like you may even impress him, because he might just say, "Oh, hey, tell me, what case is this?" And you give him like case number, gender, lexical form, translation. That would be pretty impressive. So either way, though, it's this is what you need. Like this covers everything he could ask for a noun or an adjective. And then for translation, so how would you translate the accusative of Raida? And so going back up here, you see here's the meaning. But how do you change this word to fit this information, like to fit this accusative singular masculine? Does anything change in the translation based on the grammar?
Uh, no.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Yeah, no. In this case, no. In English, we don't change anything about the subject and the predicate normally. So if I want to say the carriage wagon as a subject, I would say like the carriage was driven through the town. So you just say the carriage. If I want to use it as the object or the predicate, I can say he rode through the town in a chariot. So you don't really change anything about the word. If it was genitive, right, you would probably include a word of. So you don't have another word in Latin for of, but because it's genitive, you have to include it to make sense in the English. But for the accusative, there's nothing that you really change. So well done. Good job. It's just carriage or wagon. Um, so something that I don't know because I'm not in your class is how particular your instructor is. I don't know if he wants you to give all possible meanings of the word that your book lists or not. Hopefully not. I'm assuming he wouldn't demand that much. Um, so you probably just it would be okay to just give one possible meaning, like carriage, wagon, or follow what your book says, because this is from Latinium, and there's what I was trying to stress last time, whenever I was talking about your long-term game. There's really two different things we got to worry about here. We got to worry about your short term, which is your exams and your grade. But I'm also thinking about your long term, like you as a student in Latin on your journey in Latin. And those are not necessarily the same thing. Like you're going to have to give your instructor stuff that he wants, but in reality, there may be more, something like this. And so by looking at Latinium, you have the full range or spectrum of what the word can mean, but practically for your short term, it's just going to be what the book says. So you need to keep this kind of thing in mind. If especially if you're thinking about, continuing in Latin and growing more after your class, um, about what else there is out there versus just what you need for the class in the time being. Um, what do you think about this? Any questions about this? Yeah, any questions about this so far?
I don't have any questions, but could you send this to me,
Sure,
please?
yeah, absolutely, you bet. Does this answer the questions that you had at the beginning? Your concern about how to parse words, how to break words down and use the handout with what your instructor asks?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Yeah. Um, well, if you don't have any other questions, I think this is all I have to share. Unless you want to do more practice. I mean, we could spend more time doing practice. It never hurts to do practice. And even outside of our lessons, you could do practice as well. Test yourself on your own. You could like ride on a piece of paper and say, okay, can I decline this fully? Like you have a ride down here, and you're like, okay, what is the nominative singular masculine? Okay, what is the genitive singular masculine? Okay, what is the ablative? What is the accusative? And you just go down the whole list and do all of them, and then go to the handout and check yourself and say, okay, how many did I get right? Which ones am I struggling with? Which ones do I need to review more? This is how you would build your skill on your own, it's basically like making homework for yourself, but that's how you get better. Whenever you do the homework and you do this kind of thing, which this is really what this is composition. There's two different kinds of things here. You have looking at the Latin text and trying to deconstruct it and figure it out and decipher it. And then you have the reverse of that, which is you trying to compose the Latin. And by doing both of them, it activates different parts of your brain. And so this is a really good way to build your skill in this for sure. Is to take a word, try to decline it. Again, let me just for a quick summary here. Again, if you're seeing a word in the text and you don't know what it is, um, I guess if you have, I guess if you're really struggling, you have Zach or Suvik's contact. You can just text them and say, hey, what is this? Ask Phil for me or something. And if it's really difficult, you could do that or send an email or something. But you should try first to use Latinium because I think a lot of the time you could figure it out with Latinium. So again, what you'll do is you'll probably not want to put the ending because if it is like some random if it's anything other than the non-singular masculine, it won't give you a result. You'll have to take the ending off, and then you should see different results after doing that. And then you'll choose the one that's the simplest because the simplest is probably going to be the right one. And then if it shows you a form that looks like one you've seen or that looks reasonable, then it's probably the right one. And so it'll give you this, it'll give you the lexical form proper, which again, that's the lexical form proper is the word itself. It'll give you the genitive singular masculine ending. And really, for your purposes, that's all you need to know. If you forgot what the word means, it'll tell you the meaning. But again, keep in mind that your short-term success is different than your long-term success because your instructor is probably going to want a particular thing, unless he's more lenient like me. Like if it was me and a student gave me like this, I would be impressed. Or if a student just gave me a wagon, I would accept that too, because the word has a range of meaning. And if you get one that's right, that works. That's good enough. But not everyone's the same, so he may be very particular on that. So yeah, maybe that's something you should do as well. Maybe you should, if you don't have that kind of communication with your instructor, you should email him or just ask him in class even if it's like if you have a class type format like that, and just say, does it have to be this particular thing, just to make sure, just to be on the safe side. Uh, and Okay, and just for summary and review, it's always good to review. It never hurts to review. Let me go over this again. So for the handout again, um, you should print this out or keep it on your phone or tablet. Cross out all the stuff you don't need just because it'll just not distract you if you do that. And it's kind of gratifying to just cross out all this stuff that you don't need. And then you'll just want to focus on these three boxes. Make sure you know this title really well. Make sure you know first declension is I, second declension I or E, third declension is. If you know the gender in these, that also is helpful. So that, yeah, you should do that. You should memorize this as well. And then, yeah, you can practice writing out these endings. Practice writing them out with a word, like choose a random word out of your text that you're translating. And practice like that. Practice compositionally. Practicing compositionally is different than deciphering. It activates a different part of your brain. It helps you learn this better. Actually, a lot of students say that the real learning happens when you do the composition. Finally, I have one more advice I want to give, and this may surprise you actually, but you shouldn't actually take you shouldn't take, well, how do I say this? You should take notes, but when you're doing the exercises and you're doing the homework, of course you have to do it because you have to have something to turn in. But what I'm trying to say is writing things down because you think, oh, I need to write this down to memorize it, that's actually not helpful. Because when you write something down saying, okay, I need to write this down because I need to memorize this or keep this, actually what that's telling your brain is I've written it down, so I don't need it in my head. And this actually goes back to a philosophical thing in Plato. Plato wrote in one of his books that books are actually make people dumber, believe it or not. Plato said this because books make people have all their information in a book instead of in their head. And so, is that true or not? That's not the point. The point is that it gets you thinking about this problem of when you write stuff down and you don't just think about it and have it in your head, it does decrease your potential for memorizing it. So actually, it's better if you don't write stuff down for Latin. It's better if you just translate in your head on the spot and do the stuff on the spot. Now, of course, do what you need to get what you need to turn into your instructor, give him that. But when it comes to you like just need to memorize stuff, you really need to try to train yourself to think, okay, I'm not going to write this down. I'm just going to keep it in my head so that it stays in my head. Um, and really, practically, that's what you need anyways. Like you need to be able to look at that Latin text every single time and be able to translate it just from you without notes, right? So that's the end goal, I think, for us is to get you to that point. Um, so something to think about there with writing notes versus not writing them. Um, on the other hand, there are some studies that say that writing helps you remember it. If you think that works for you, go ahead and write it down. But as soon as you're done writing it down, crumple it up and throw it away and never look at it again. Because it's just going to train you to want to keep looking back to that instead of having it in your head, having it down pat, so to speak. So that's what's our time here? I think that's all I have to share, unless you have any other questions, um, or if you want to go over anything else. I'm here to help.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Yeah, you bet. I wish you the best of luck. Bona fortunam,
Well,
as they say in Latin. Keep up the good work. Don't stop reviewing those. And if you haven't yet, try one of those memory techniques, like the Memory Palace. That one's really fun. Memory Palace is very effective. Like I said last time, I was able to learn all 5 declensions using that Memory Palace. And so in my head, I went through the palace and I had like, there's different rooms, and in each room, there's a different spot. Like you may have like a bookshelf, a couch, like a clock or a table or something. You construct your palace. It doesn't have to be a palace. It can be something else. But I think the why it works, the science or the idea of it is it's easier for you to remember things if you have it associated with a geographical location, even if it's abstract. So there's something about location, spatial awareness in your brain that if you can tie something to even if it's made up, even if it's abstract, if you can tie something to a location in your head, for some reason that helps you remember it. Now, starting out doing it, you may not feel it very effective because you just started doing it. Like those guys who I mentioned last time, like on America's Got Talent or whatever, that memorize long strings of numbers with this method, they've practiced it a lot. They've practiced it so much to where they built a skill in doing it very fast. That's really the competition is how fast can they make the memory palace in their head and put all the stuff in the right place. So yeah, it take these techniques may take some practice, but the memory palace is very effective. But there's other ones, like depending on the type of learner that you are. Like in high school or maybe even in middle school, they teach this. There's different kinds of learners. There's kinesthetic learners, they learn with touching things, feeling things. There's auditory learners and there's visual learners. And then there's people who are maybe just a mix of one, two or three of those. So you find the one that works better for you, and use it. So one that would be like for an audio or an auditory learner would be like the mnemonic devices with like making a silly song out of or making an acronym out of the letters. Yeah, so I recommend you try that. That may help with this. Trying to remember the other thing you asked. Oh yeah, okay. So one last thing on the spot, like in class. Best thing you can do is be prepared. There's a really good saying out there. If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, or something like this, right? That's a good proverb, right? That's a good proverb, a good life advice in general, not just for Latin. If you it's if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's the proverb. So I don't think that's a Latin proverb. I think that's an English proverb, but it's a good proverb. Definitely plan as much as you can. If it were me, I would go through that whole Latin translation first. I would parse every single thing. Like I would like write a line above the first word and say, okay, this is nominative plural. This is nominative masculine plural from this word omnia, and it means this. I would make a note of every single thing. Um, so yeah, so if you want, we could meet in a future session to do that if you want to do that together. If you do it on your own, it's only going to help you more, I think, actually, because It's the same thing with like why make a flashcard set yourself when somebody else has already made it online? You could use theirs. Well, because making it yourself helps you learn it. It's like you're going to learn it before you even have to study it just by making it. So it's this kind of thing. But it's up to you. You know, if you want us to go through that together, we can do that as well. I do think, though, just briefly looking at it there, a lot of it you can figure out if you just type it into a Latinium without the ending, you can figure out what it is. You should be able to. So um, there's going to be some words you may think is a noun when it's actually a verb. That's just kind of trial and error. That's just familiarity. So like for example, the sunt, you saw the sunt in there. Sunt is a verb. So if you type in sunt in Athenium, you're probably not going to get hit on that. And if you do get a hit, it's going to say it's a verb. Um, so if it tells you a verb, that's good because you know it's a verb. Just cross it out. You don't need that yet. Um, but the point being is that if you don't, let's put it like this: if you don't get a hit, or if it says it's a verb, you know it's a verb. So just leave it alone. Um, uh, the verbs, I think you're gonna figure out by process of elimination. And at this point, you're only gonna have simple verbs anyway. Like it's gonna be probably like sum. It's gonna be some form of sum, the verb for to be, or some other simple kind of verb. So, um, but if you have questions on that though, feel free to reach out. So
I will. Thank you.
Okay,
you bet.
actually, Robin, before you leave, we had one question. So in your Latin class, do you have any other students who would like to use like Philip's services by any chance?
Um, I don't know, but I could ask if they
Okay.
need help.
All right, perfect. Yeah, because Philip's a really good teacher, and I know if someone in your class isn't getting anything, they would love to have Philip as a Latin tutor.
Yeah, I'll ask.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much, Robin. We'll see you.
Great work
Thank
today.
you. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, you too. All right,
All
well,
righty.
thanks for the
Yeah, that was
Hold
lesson,
good.
guys.
up. I had a question. So,
Sure.
low key, do you have, because you know how we give you high school students that want to learn Latin? Do you have Latin students that want to learn the SAT?
Um, Latin students want to learn SAT. Uh, you mean, do I have Latin students who want to learn how to take a better SAT test?
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of the students that I get are adults. So I don't really have that kind of demographic normally, actually. I used to teach kids ESL, and I used to teach test preparation. I used to do that in person. But since I started teaching online, most of the time it's adults who want to learn, and sometimes it's really old people, surprisingly, who want to learn Greek or Hebrew. But I can teach SAT. I can teach test preparation. I'm actually more familiar with the UK system because I was doing ESL in Singapore. That's where I was. I was in Singapore for a couple years, in a
Very
tuition center.
nice.
Uh,
Very nice.
yeah, so I can do that, but it's not really my thing. But if you needed that, like if you let's say you're short on SAT teachers, I have a lot of like I have a pretty good, spiel presentation on, the tricks and how to take the test better to get a better score, Like, so when it comes to that kind of thing, um, definitely I can help with that. But it's not really my thing. This is more of my speed. And it seems
Very
for a student like
good.
Robin that it's more for her, it's more about like it's really less about content, I think, for her. It's more about like she needs like just basic guidance on some of these things. So for the high school students you're giving me, it's actually really it's actually really easy to help them with this kind of thing because it is really just like basic orientation of like, okay, how does this work? What do I need to do? Like
Bro,
this kind of guidance.
do you have family in the States?
I do. Yeah, I have some. Yeah,
Do you have any who are in high school?
I don't think so. No, no, no. The youngest family that I know. that I have right now, she just got out of college, so
Wait, if you don't
no,
mind me asking, when's your birthday?
1998. I'm
What
28.
day? Like
Well, I'm
what
gonna be
month?
28 this year,
What month and what day?
June 17.
Ah,
I'm a Capricorn. I don't I don't actually believe that, but I mean I don't believe in the zodiac stuff, but that's what yeah. No, actually, is it Capricorn or is it Cancer? Well, I don't know. It
yeah,
doesn't
nah,
matter. June
yeah, no,
17.
I'm pretty sure you'd be Cancer. Pretty sure, but
June, yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Something like that. Okay, but yeah, so now I guess you're gonna have Robin every Thursday because
Cool.
yeah, because her mom wants constant Latin lessons because apparently she's not doing good. So
Well, I can help with that. Yeah. I mean I already like I said, I already get the feel of like what she needs. You know, she needs yeah. She needs like the basic she needs the basic guidance and orientation of just like, what is this? What do you do? It's less of, and really like when it comes to the our type of business with tuition, that's really what we're doing is it's less about content and it's more about just helping them like know what they need to do. At the end of the day, I can't help them memorize stuff, but we could do that as well. Like if there's one point where she gets to like, okay, I just need you guys to just translate this for me and give me all the stuff. We can do that too, but um you know, yeah, so yeah, that's yeah, it's good. It's
okay,
good. This
bet. So
this is a
you
good student.
We
Yeah,
were
this is a good
actually,
student.
yeah, we were actually wondering. Um,
yes, huh?
we were actually wondering, like,
What?
could you low-key teach Zach and I some Latin, like a little bit?
Sure. You guys want to learn Latin?
Bro, we got a meeting, Solvik. We gotta leave soon.
You got a what?
We gotta leave soon. We have another meeting. That's what I was
Oh,
trying
okay,
to.
yeah. Well, my
Yeah.
laptop's gonna die soon anyways. But yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can learn Latin. At least I can like give you guys like the first few lessons and you can see if you want to do it. Because if you learn it the way I want to teach it, it can be intense. But well, I say that I'm just following Welog. So I mean, if you guys can, the way normally teach it is, I say it's like an online college class, but it's at your pace. So, but it's not for everyone though. Like, but if you really feel like you want to do it and you really feel like that it's the thing for you, then yeah, for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
I
low-key.
say this. Okay, so for the payment, just send
hmm.
Solvik your whatever you want to use, and then we got you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah. It's Cash App, same thing last time. I'll put it in chat here. And then I'll let you guys go and do what you need to do.
Can you do WhatsApp
Bet.
it? Can
Oh,
you
sure,
WhatsApp
yeah, I'll do that.
I bet. And then yeah, so it's gonna be Thursday the same time. So that's 7 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be that time.
Okay. You guys looked out because I woke up like right as I got your text. So
Ah, that's perfect. Yeah, because at first
yeah.
we didn't know she wanted Latin every Thursday. And so we just
Mm.
had like an SAT tutor, but it was a new tutor we had, and we low-key don't think he's good. And so like the whole time he was just blowing the lesson, and then you came and saved the lesson.
for real.
That's funny. What was he
Yeah.
doing?
I don't even know. Like he didn't turn on his camera. He was so dry. You could barely hear him. Like it was
Oh,
just so bad. So as soon as you came in,
yeah,
Solvik just kicked him out. I was like,
that's funny. Well, if she's liking the lesson, that's good, like it's good to get feedback too. So yeah, is if she's liking it, if it's going, and you can ask her, like Phil, I don't know, well, I don't know how you guys do it. You guys do how you want. The way I do it is, I ask students, I say, is this what you wanted? Is this good? You know,
yeah,
some people are entitled, those people I kind of just brush off. But she's
yeah,
good. She's just a little high school student. You can just ask, like, is it good? Is it what you needed? You know.
yeah.
Um, all right, thanks guys. I'm gonna let you guys go. So
All right.
peace. Thanks for the lesson.
All right, peace,
Peace.
Philip. We'll see
Cheers.
you.
Good night.
All right, bet. See, he's do you peep how like he doesn't even harass you about payment? Like if he left, he was about to leave without even asking about payment. Like this boy,
Yo, good boy. A real good tutor. You know, Chris, I'm gonna send him a message before I go to sleep, and it's just gonna be you're in big trouble, period. And then I'm gonna just go to sleep. So he's just gonna be stressed.
all right, bro. So we're supposed to have Colette join that Colette meeting and see if she's in.
Not Colette, it's Days.
Oh yeah, I'm in days.
Let's see.
Are you able to see if she's in it?
I'm gonna just hop in there.
But